Connection is a healthy and essential aspect of our daily lives. From a warm hug after a hard day to kind words just when we need them, these gentle moments give us an understanding of life's true meaning. But when the ability to connect is interrupted by the hustle of daily life and to-do lists pile up next to the worry of who needs school supplies, sometimes making decisions about our health and the well-being of our loved ones can take a back seat. When it comes to those we care for, vaccines are one of the greatest public health success stories, and along with other measures, are one way to help prevent certain diseases. At Merck, we envision communities where families, healthcare providers, local organizations, and advocates work together. Health equity happens when every person, regardless of age and ethnicity, in every community, has fair access to healthcare, including the vaccines they need. For more information, please visit whyvaccines.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dying Time is here. That's right, we're talking about The Substance on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from Hollywood. This is the Kill by Kill podcast. We're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters, and we're going to unpack all the goriest of details of 2024's The Substance in the hopes that a aerobic instructor's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person I trust to make sure there's not a chicken bone coming out through my butt. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How you doing today, Gina?
Yeah, as I don't know which one of us is the Matrix, but we've got to maintain balance here. We
do have to maintain balance. This is something I think we've been, for the most part, able to do since we started in 2016. But this is a wild ride. Once people started to talk about this, we're like, how do we get on? How do we get together and talk about this? How do we slide this into the lineup?
Yeah, this. I was saying elsewhere that this might be our fastest turnaround in 8 years between seeing the movie, recording the episode about the movie, and then putting the episode out.
Right. This is a pretty tight turnaround.
Because it is currently Wednesday.
Yeah.
Patrick, you saw it over the weekend, correct?
Yes.
I saw it on Tuesday, the day before recording, and this will be up in 2 days.
Yeah. So we can make very topical references that will be out of the news cycle by Friday. It's every podcaster's dream.
Exactly. Gotta hit that zeitgeist, baby.
So let's go spoiler free for a couple minutes just in case, because while The Substance is definitely in theaters, I don't know about you, I didn't have the world's greatest selection in terms of slots. And the only reason it really kind of happened for me was I was supposed to go to a Beyond Fest screening that someone had given me tickets for, and then they needed those tickets back, and I ended up getting tickets for The Substance. And thank goodness, in some ways, not that the movie I was supposed to see was bad or anything, but I got to see it in a full house, full of people who actually got the movie, were laughing, were in shock, were freaking out, were very into the film. At the very end of it, the two people who were sitting next to me appeared to be friends. I turned to them and my response was, "Thank you for sharing this with me. I don't know you. You'll never know me, but we'll always have this." It was such a wild fucking ride. I can't believe it's 2 hours and 20 minutes because it fucking flies by. Absolute recommend for me. It is in the running for maybe my favorite so far. It is such a different film from the first Omen. It's really hard to put them in a race against one another, but we'll see how it shakes out towards the end of the year. How about you?
The screening set, like I said, I tend to go see movies exclusively at the Alamo because I have the membership program there, where it's like their version of Movie Pass, where I pay a flat rate and can see as many movies as I want. There's a fairly robust selection of screenings for it, and a lot of them were pretty well sold out. The one that worked best with my work schedule, because there is one within walking distance of my office, was an open caption screening. Oh, okay. And I was like, well, fine, whatever. I mean, if the way I looked at it was, if I watched it at home, I'd have the captions on, because I usually leave the captions on. And I thought to myself, well, I'll probably have the whole theater to myself. I did not have the whole theater to myself. It was pretty full, and yeah, it was an audience that was equal parts delighted, befuddled.
Sure.
The young gentleman sitting next to me was visibly cringing through most of it, like shrinking, kind of curling up into his seat, particularly during a scene that involved repeated injections into a spinal cord.
Oh, yeah.
And then another gentleman a couple rows ahead of me, when the movie ended, lifted up his glass and a toast. So yeah, I had a pretty good crowd too.
It's a bravura piece of cinema. It is really going for it.
The movies are too fucking good right now, Patrick. They're too fucking good.
I know, like, I get a little dismayed occasionally. There's a very boom bust feeling that happens. And I also believe that this is the kind of film that someone who may or may not have my same taste can go into and go, this just isn't for me. This pressed the wrong buttons. I didn't enjoy the way it was presented. I couldn't get on board with it. I think those are reasonable things, because it is asking for quite a bit from the audience to get on board with what's going on there. And I think it's hard. I tried to stay reasonably spoiler free. I knew who was in it. I had seen the first teaser trailer, and that was about it. And then as it went, I'm like, well, this is actually different than I thought it was going to play out in some degrees. And it was similar in others. But I didn't peg this filmmaker as someone who could go the full street trash, Cronenberg's The Fly levels of body horror. And she absolutely does.
Yeah, it is. I knew that there was some pretty intense body horror.
Yeah.
Not quite as intense as it actually turned out to be.
Yeah. Sure.
But and I knew it had something to do with basically Debbie Moore's character having a younger version of herself. That's what I knew of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I this is one of those movies. It's like when you're recommending it to someone, you have to be absolutely sure that someone can take it. Because like I know a couple of people who have needle phobias, and I'm like, well, this might be the most needle phobic movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes.
Like there are so many shots of syringes going into skin and muscle and spinal cords and infected sores. Oh, God. And open wounds, and it is relentless.
It is relentless, and I think that's part of its charm. I really want to get into spoilers, so this is a kill by kill recommend across the board. I got a feeling that we're in line. That I think for the most part, our listeners would be very into this if they haven't already seen it. And I really want to get into the meat of it. How about you?
Oh yeah, this is 100%. it's hard for me to say if it supplants Longlegs for me because they're so different.
Yeah.
Although they both involve, someone's face getting smashed to hell.
Right.
Except in Longlegs, he's doing it to himself. But
Yes.
but they're just so different. I can't necessarily say that one is better than the other. It's just, it's just such another great year of horror.
Yes. I think it started slow for whatever reason. It just started slow, and whatever got slotted here towards the second half of the year has really, really been great. And there's a few movies that I haven't even caught up to yet. I still haven't seen Cuckoo. I bought it immediately. Strange Darling came out. I bought it immediately.
And we still have Nosferatu to look forward to.
I know, and that's going to be real tough for us because I don't know how we're going to be able to do as tight a turnaround as this on Nosferatu because there's usually I'm in Wisconsin, so
we might have to wait a week or two. That might be like a New Year's special.
It might be in January for us, but not because we don't want to talk about it, just because we won't be, near microphones over the holidays. But that being said, let's get into spoiler territory, everybody.
Let's do it.
All right. So I mentioned Street Trash, which this movie absolutely is aping at a certain point. The Thing, Cronenberg's The Fly. I mean, this is gross and rubbery. And when she peels off that fingernail, the two people next to me were literally trying to crawl out of their seats. There was nowhere for them to go. The air would not take them into its bosom, but they were trying to get there.
Yeah, you could definitely hear during that scene when she's pulling her teeth out, that
yes.
you could just hear like sharp intakes of breaths and all through the audience.
It is. I think the film that is closest to capturing what The Fly is since. Like, it's wild. It's taken this long for somebody to kind of figure out that type of transformation like movie, and this movie really captures it. It is gross and disturbing and personal, and I think have you seen her previous film, Revenge, which was one of those very first Shudder exclusives?
I don't think I have. No, I think this might be the first movie I've seen from her.
That is a really great movie. Now, I'm not huge on the rape revenge films, and that is equally intense in many, many ways. A lot of star earrings. When you see a lady with a star earring in her movies, watch the fuck out. That person is going to freak out on somebody at some point. And so I really did end up enjoying that. It's intense. It's a lot. But it doesn't really give you a lot of, during like the car wreck sequence, that felt very Revenge to me. Like, okay, she's in familiar territory. And then as it goes along, it becomes more ostensibly thematic, more representational. This is very much a movie. It is both of the real world, but not really at all. It's a version of Los Angeles you've never quite seen before. And the opening shots are of Elizabeth Sparkle's star on the Walk of Fame being cast and put into place. And then you kind of see it age in a representational way. But the one thing I was like, well, why is this bothering me? And it's because the star is turned so that that people are walking across it, from left to right. But the way that stars are actually put into the boulevard on the sidewalk,
it's up and down, right?
It's up and down.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't, at first I was like, oh, I shouldn't weird me out. Like, I didn't come here for realism. But then I'm like, no. There's a point to it facing this way. That people just cross over this without thinking, without considering what is beneath them. It is both exciting, and then it just becomes a sidewalk. And it that eventually like, okay, there's a point to every little setup in this that happens from going forward. And I found it incredibly invigorating as a cinematic experience.
Yeah, it's like I said, it is super over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Especially I would say the last 25 minutes to a half an hour.
Right. Yes.
But also it's very, I know that I'm sure that I've only seen a few negative reviews of it. And one of them was just really kind of stuck in my craw. And I've actually mentioned it. And because I've actually written about this in my newsletter too, which should be out the same day this comes out.
Yes. I'm looking forward to reading it. Yeah.
Thank you. Where I'll get to why it bothered me so much later. But, I'm sure that, the negative criticism will focus on the fact that it's not a very subtle movie. Like, you kind of have this, I guess he's an antagonist. Nothing really happens to him, unfortunately, but, you have Dennis Quaid, who, what the fuck, man? What is he doing? He's doing such crazy work in this. It turns out, do you know who he was supposed to be, who that character was supposed to be played by originally?
No, I don't.
Is Ray Liotta. The part had been written with Ray Liotta in mind. In fact, I think he had been, he had already agreed to take the role, and then unfortunately he passed away.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I mean, don't sell, playing Ronald Reagan and becoming a Trump conservative, aside, he's fucking great in this.
I think this is the most Dennis Quaid performance I've seen. Like, this is one of those things where I feel like we're seeing a side of him that might be the truest side of him, is my feeling.
He's like a ridiculous scumbag in it.
Yeah.
But also he's like a Hollywood producer. His name is Harvey. It's like I said, it's not subtle in any way. And yet, but there are a few subtle moments that, that I find myself thinking about more than the gore and the body horror.
Yeah.
And one of the moments that stands out to me is after Elizabeth Sparkle, Demi Moore's character, has sort of birthed this alternate younger version of herself, who is Margaret Qualley. She's sort of living in her apartment, and she is basically building this entirely separate room in her apartment. Because one of the things that the movie does not actually explain, which I think is amusing, and undoubtedly the CinemaSins people are going to dig into it as a plot hole, is that this mysterious substance also evidently makes you really strong. and also able to in a matter of 2 days, just build an entire secret passage in your out of your bathroom.
Yeah, but
that's not really here nor there. Her male neighbor is angrily hammering on her door in a very nasty voice, wanting to know what she's doing.
Yeah.
And, foxy young Margaret Qualley in booty shorts and a crop top answers, and the entire tone of his voice changes immediately.
Yeah.
And that is such a real life thing of how, I love y'all, men are great, but some of y'all do the thing with your voices where, there's a voice when you talk to women you're not attracted to, and then there's a voice you talk to women you are attracted to, and we can tell the difference.
Right.
And and it's just and he thinks he's being so slick and so subtle.
The lack of awareness is pretty much amazing across the board.
And I was like, that is the truest fucking moment in this entire movie. The most subtle moment in a movie that is not interested in subtlety. And nor do I think it needs to be. I think something like this, it is perfectly fine if you treat it like hitting somebody between the eyes with a hammer.
That's not the movie she wanted to make. She did not want to make something that was even touched upon on subtlety. She wanted to hit this with the ball peen hammer. She wants people to confront this in the most outrageous way possible. one of the things I did not anticipate going into this was the sheer amount of butts. It's a lot of butts.
There is a lot of nudity in this.
Yes.
And like, it's weird. It's obviously it's sexy because attractive female bodies, but it's not sexual, if that makes sense.
It's clinical.
Right. They're just kind of looking at themselves.
Right. They're considering what, and it's something that I think everyone does to a certain degree. You are always looking in a mirror. You're looking in a mirror when you're brushing your teeth. You're looking in a mirror when you're combing your hair. You're looking in the mirror if you put on makeup or if you're putting on moisturizer. These are all elements of your considering yourself and how you view yourself versus how other people view you. And to me, more, I don't want to be that person like, this is a brave performance, but this is a fucking brave performance. Beyond the nudity, just with the veracity. This is a Demi Moore performance I've always wanted to see, and I can't wait for someone else to tap this version of her. She's so fucking good in this movie.
Yeah, she's like, I would dare to say that, you know, the work that she is doing, particularly near the end of the movie, when she's transformed into this like crone, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I would put it up with Isabella Gianni in Possession.
Yes.
Because she's just like, there's just no ego, no fear. She doesn't care how she looks. You know, it's like, and I mean, I would not say that Demi Moore was, ever, among our best thespians. She was all right, but yeah, she mostly became a huge star, and she was a huge star. She was for gigantic. A time during the 90s, she and Bruce Willis were the highest paid actors in the entire world. Now, of course, he was making twice as much as she was because of sexism. Right. But she mostly earned that money because she had a great body.
Yeah.
I mean, she was attractive. I mean, she was a bad actress. Just not particularly engaging as a thespian.
But I also feel like there was they didn't quite ever harness her in a good enough way. Like, there's a lot of Ghost where she's just abandoned as a character, and she does fantastic work there. There are things that she can do that other people, I think, with distance realize that's a rare fucking skill. And I'm going to say it. Crying out of one particular eye with one big fat tear is not something that everyone can do. And she fucking can.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Connection is a healthy and essential aspect of our daily lives. From a warm hug after a hard day to kind words just when we need them, these gentle moments give us an understanding of life's true meaning. But when the ability to connect is interrupted by the hustle of daily life and to-do lists pile up next to the worry of who needs school supplies, sometimes making decisions about our health and the well-being of our loved ones can take a back seat. When it comes to those we care for, vaccines are one of the greatest public health success stories, and along with other measures, are one way to help prevent certain diseases. At Merck, we envision communities where families, healthcare providers, local organizations, and advocates work together. Health equity happens when every person, regardless of age and ethnicity, in every community, has fair access to healthcare, including the vaccines they need. For more information, please visit whyvaccines.com.
Yeah, you're right. She does not get a lot of character, development. Not even a lot of dialogue, really. But she's doing a lot of work with her face and eyes.
Yes. And here you just get to see every angle of her personality as Elizabeth Sparkle the fragile, the broken, the confident, the person who believes in themselves and then is broken when everyone removes their belief from her.
Right.
It's a truly heartbreaking, well-rounded performance that, yes, is enhanced by all these special effects and her transforming into eventually an evil deadite. I'm surprised we don't get sudden oatmeal syndrome out of her.
Oh, we absolutely should have gotten sudden oatmeal syndrome.
I think they're coming very close to it. The more the thing in her back becomes pussed, but it is truly a fantastically well-rounded performance from her. And you get to really experience her heartbreak at everything she wants to be, just being taken away in a snap. And Dennis Quaid in the scene that I think gets evoked in a lot of, like, I'm not revealing much, it's the shrimp scene. But it focuses a lot both on the cruelty that's on one side of the table and her just holding on for dear life. Because what she wants to do is absolutely cave this motherfucker's face in on the other side. And she can't, because what will they say? What will become of Elizabeth Sparkle?
And he's her boss.
Yeah.
I also love the scene. I wouldn't call it subtle, but it is, wryly funny, where she has to use the men's room because at what will soon become her former place of employment.
Yeah.
So she ends up having to use it, and she is in a stall when Dennis Quaid comes in. He's on the phone and talking about her and how it's her 50th birthday, and she's old, and it's time for her to be replaced. And did you notice that he's having a little trouble going to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Which is an issue that affects older men.
Yeah.
And he's got at least 20 years on her.
Yes.
And he's just, fiddling around with his faulty prostate, talking about how this 50-year-old woman is too old and gross to have on television anymore.
Right. There's a sequence after she's been fired and she just wants to go out and get drunk, and she's in a backless dress. And I'm like, holy shit, she is in fantastic fucking shape.
She is. She's actually playing, she's actually 60.
Yes.
Playing 50.
Right. I very much remember she was in a movie about the RFK shooting assassination. There's a sequence with her and Sharon Stone, and Sharon Stone's playing a hairdresser, or maybe it's reversed. But there's in the hotel, there is a place to get blowouts and your hair done and whatnot. And so they sit down and they're having a conversation between them. And then at one point, they're kind of complaining about their age. And then Demi Moore just turns to her and goes, and I don't really get it, because now my butt's kind of flat. Why did that happen? And it just reveals an opening to her to be with another, woman. They're both incredibly attractive, and just complain about how shitty aging is. That feels incredibly real, where the vast majority of that movie, I think, is a little waffly when it comes to bringing a reality to this monumental assassination attempt. It feels a lot like The Love Boat up until that point, and not in a good way. So there's a vulnerability to everything that she's doing here, but also there is this monster that is unleashed before the crone stuff really starts to happen. The possibility of having this sort of young revenge is so intriguing to her. Early on, she rejects it, and then she puts this flash drive in that basically gives you the voiceover from the trailer for The Substance, and it's not really explained how this happens.
No, somebody said that somebody said elsewhere that you're given this kit, which sort of resembles like a meal kit.
Yes, exactly.
And you get you only a week's supply,
And everything is packaged like you just got it from the Apple store.
Right. And you get, very, very, very stripped down directions. But, with the emphasis of you have to follow these instructions to the letter. But there's no explanation as to what happens if you don't.
Yeah.
Which I think is very interesting.
Now, we never at any point are given any indication that Elizabeth is paying for this.
No.
There's no bill. No one asked for a credit card, nothing like that. So this is an experiment. She's literally participating in an experiment. And I can't imagine many of these experiments go well. That's my feeling. This might be the hardest A plus B equals $, $, because I can't imagine anyone getting to the successfully over time that this works out in your favor.
Well, I think the point is that no one can resist, trying to stay young a little longer, to borrowing time against yourself.
Weirdly enough, it becomes this massive metaphor of all these things you do while you're young because you're young, and then having the repercussions happen when you are old. It's just 1 week on, 1 week off. And that's why it's not subtle, because subtlety doesn't happen that fucking quickly.
Right. Yeah.
I love the chicken egg refertilization thing. They put the substance into an egg that has not been cooked. It's just been cracked open. And so you see the yolk there. They inject it into the yolk. It slips open and you got a second yolk. And from that moment on, what yellow ends up representing when she puts on this yellow coat is that she is helping in that retransition between her young self and her old self. And once the younger self starts putting on the yellow coat, everything is off balance.
Yeah, I think it's funny that like the it's not like mitosis. The egg yolk doesn't split itself into two eggs.
No.
It births a second egg.
It produces a younger yolk.
Right.
That is of the same size. And yeah, I did not foresee that. Even as it is demonstrated, I was like, okay, but it would be different with a human, right? No, it is not.
Like
she just cracks open in the back and gives birth to a younger version of herself.
Margaret Qualley squeezes out of her body.
I was waiting towards the end there for someone to turn around and just give you gotta be fucking kidding me. It's the only thing that's kind of missing here in terms of references.
I mean,
everything else is pretty dead on.
When she shows up at that New Year's Eve event, I mean, like that would have been a good time to put that in there.
It really would have. Because here's the thing that, well, everyone who's lasted here, I assume has seen the movie or they don't care about spoilers. But we're essentially told the story of Elizabeth in three different versions. Elizabeth, Sue, the younger version of herself, and Eliza Sue Monstroso. I honestly believe, like,
if we really tried to explain to you this scene, if you didn't see it, you would not believe it.
I didn't know what exactly I would get out of the third act of this. But when it started to happen, I was clapping and laughing and having the fucking time of my life. There's just every part of it is really indebted to something very specific, but in a movie that is in no way, shape, or form something that would naturally lead to this. So The Shining is absolutely represented in this movie in the red bathroom and a hallway that becomes covered in blood, and with a complex carpet pattern. That being said, you would never come out of this going, well, that movie ripped off The Shining. That's not really what it's doing. It's just like evoking that so that in the back of your mind, You're like, it's not like, oh, you're reminding me of a better movie.
Well,
no.
It does, I mean, it does play into in The Shining, the bathroom scene, and how the idea is, nothing is more repulsive than a naked old lady.
Right. Yes. There's definitely a, room is it 217? Or is that
I think it's 217 in the movie and 237 in the book, but yeah,
that's right.
Or vice versa. I know they changed it for some reason.
I think I'm going to show Ollie The Shining this year, so I'm gearing up.
Just warning that it starts off a little slow.
Yeah. And he also he loves Ready Player One, and so he has a cultural awareness of The Shining.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But does not know what actually happens.
Maybe we should do another like Ollie's Thoughts episode, because
I would love to.
We haven't talked about The Shining yet.
We have not. I think I put it up on the board a couple of times, and I'm like, do I want to save it for if we do ghosts? But I don't know. We don't think that far ahead.
No.
And when we do plan ahead, we're absolutely like life fucks us over every single time. We seem to think we're ahead of the game. So, as is witnessed with what's been happening with our Patreon. So yeah, I love the references in the movie, but they feel like they're touchstones. They are not the only thing holding it up. They're not stepping stones. They are they are reference points because that is the elements that she wants to draw forth for this specific story. And I don't know how you would do the story without really embracing the Cronenberg fly and Evil Dead crone elements that the film draws on. And they're outrageous, and they're presented in a completely different way, in a new and outrageously fun and vibrant way. Every part of this movie kind of hums with an amazing energy of invention, inspiration, and execution.
Well, it's also, very remarkable that you're sort of like just laughing in disbelief at what's happening. And then at the end, you're like, oh, this is actually kind of sad,
It emotionally connects you to this conundrum, because ultimately, while not this outrageous, it is presenting something that is absolutely emotionally real, which is you only age in one fucking direction. There's one place you're going, that we're all going, and we check out at different times, but it's all in one fucking direction. And what happens when you're presented with any sort of sliding doors opportunity of something else? And I think there's a re-emphasis in the past couple of years of the sort of multiverse way of doing this, of the choices you make in life. And this makes a different alternative fantastical sci-fi version of that story, where it's not so much a diverging timeline. It is the diverging time frame. Right. And they just really do a great job of it. Like, Margaret Qualley is fantastic in this film. Demi Moore is fantastic in this film. I would absolutely argue that both of them should end up with Oscar nominations at the end of this for lead and supporting. And I don't know if we'll get either, because this film is just too wild for the straights, is my guess.
Yeah, I mean, generally the Academy kind of holds its nose towards horror anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it would be nice if it got some technical, but it's probably not going to get that either.
Yes. I mean, that's the fucking thing. But last year, Godzilla 0, that, or -1 rather, that got technical awards, that won technical awards. And that I feel is like a much bigger leap. So I don't know. I have my fingers crossed, because there's a lot of enthusiasm behind this. This really grabs people, and they love to have that good of a time. It's not as big of a revolution as Longlegs is, but I also feel like Longlegs had a better feel for marketing.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
and, I mean, 25. Even I will say it. I loved it. 25 to 35% of Long Legs' success was in its advertising campaign.
Yes, certainly. But then even after its first weekend, and you had a significant, a portion of the audience go, well, that I just couldn't lasso that. For me, people were still, I can't wait to try to do this, and I feel like this is a smaller version of that. And it's just so over the top and so fantastically fun and horrible and sad. Not many movies are able to combine this many elements into an actual story that works. And what I'm most amazed by is that this story is solid.
Yeah, well, I mean, she basically turns into Frankenstein's monster at the end.
Yeah,
and but she is both Frankenstein and the monster.
Yes.
So, I mean, one could say that whoever the creator of the substance is, which we never find out, is actually the mastermind behind all this. But she's the one that makes the decision to inject herself with this fluid that looks straight up like a prop from Reanimator.
Well, oh yes, and that is thank you for saying that, because that was the first thing I muttered under my breath when I saw that the substance was green. I was like, oh shit, we're doing some Reanimator shit here, and all these references are fucking rock solid. She makes a cocktail out of all these different things and what I believe is a wholly original story, and is able to weave them into a tapestry that's so solid and so really it's fun and disturbing and uncomfortable. And there's so many butts.
There's a
many
lot
butts.
There's a lot of butts. Like the camera loves Margaret Qualley's butt.
Yes.
It may not even be her actual butt. It may be a
Who
stand-in
knows?
butt, but it's a good butt, whoever it is. But
whether it's CGI or enhanced or makeup, they're trying to make the most idealized,
Well, that's the thing. I pointed this out in my write-up about it. What another poignant moment is that the idea of the substance is it makes a better version of you, younger, more perfect, and she kind of looks a little bit like her, but not a younger version of her. Like her in her mind's eye, the perfect version of her has different eye color, noticeably larger breasts, curvier butt, and a paler skin tone. So by her estimation, even when she was young, she still wasn't quite enough.
Right. And we get a lot of hints towards that as she deals with the aftermath of being kicked to the curb for the grand sin of simply aging like all of his fucking age. And because she's a woman, she's not allowed to get away with it. But Dennis Quaid, who never lets off the gas, is absolutely confident in his repellent nature.
He almost makes me like him again for
almost like you got to be somewhat self-aware to be able to pull this off.
I mean, I would have loved to see, God bless, I would have loved to see what Ray Liotta did with it, but Dennis Quaid does really well.
Yes. And this is not a performance that has a lot of vanity to him. He is, being told to be the ugliest version of himself he possibly can.
He's almost always shot with a fisheye lens, which is the most wildly unflattering lens a person could be shot with. It shows every flaw in your face. It makes your nose look like it's about 30 feet high and 60 feet wide. It's just so comically unflattering, and that's another thing is that because Corley, unfortunately, I do not know how to pronounce her last name. It's French. I'm going to fuck it up somehow.
Yes.
Farge, probably.
Sure.
Farge.
Sure.
Anyway, the director.
Yes.
you can tell she spent some time on social media because you'll note that the men who are most cruelly critical of women's appearances have absolutely not a leg to stand on when it comes to their own appearances. I'm thinking of the two dudes who are doing the audition
pieces,
but they're like, just making all these like juvenile remarks about these very attractive women's appearances, and these are like a couple of like pencil neck geeks.
Yes, neither of them are setting anyone's heart aflutter.
No. But they're just like sneeringly putting down these women's appearances, and it's left up to them to determine whether a woman is attractive enough to be a fitness show host.
And the fitness show they end up putting on.
Oh my God! Who's getting up in the morning and watching this and thinking, yeah, it's aspirational?
This is the morning that this is happening.
with this midnight the whiskey dance routine where you're bouncing your ass on the floor. And all,
like, the only thing this comes close to is that aerobics tape that is featured in Friday the 13th Part 4 that Paramount actually produced at one point.
This looks like the routine they're doing in Showgirls.
Yes. All somebody needs to do is run around yelling, "Get your ass higher, higher, higher." And that it's just so fucking audacious. It's also what appears to be a terrible workout routine because it's all very twerk based.
Yeah, it's strippery.
Yeah,
which is like, okay, this is not a program for like housewives to get up in the morning and try to lose the baby weight.
Right.
This is for men to watch and to masturbate over.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Connection is a healthy and essential aspect of our daily lives. From a warm hug after a hard day to kind words just when we need them, these gentle moments give us an understanding of life's true meaning. But when the ability to connect is interrupted by the hustle of daily life and to-do lists pile up next to the worry of who needs school supplies, sometimes making decisions about our health and the well-being of our loved ones can take a back seat. When it comes to those we care for, vaccines are one of the greatest public health success stories, and along with other measures, are one way to help prevent certain diseases. At Merck, we envision communities where families, healthcare providers, local organizations, and advocates work together. Health equity happens when every person, regardless of age and ethnicity, in every community, has fair access to healthcare, including the vaccines they need. For more information, please visit whyvaccines.com.
The fact that they have one dude dancing in the background, that's how they have plausible deniability that this show is meant entirely for the male gaze.
Right. Well, it's for a specific male gaze. But that's the other thing that I've kind of seen here and there in regards to the film, that for a film that is ostensibly rooted in how terrible the entertainment industry is towards women as they age, it is also filled with idealized nudity and what feels like very male gazy appearance, just laser focused on wonderful hinders. Just congrats to everyone in the movie on the shape of their butts. That being said, I think it has to engage in that. I'm not sure how it's supposed to tackle this subject without actually engaging in the activities that we see all around us in terms of advertising. You kind of have to engage with it because that is ultimately what Elizabeth wants to engage in. She wants to be part of that world. It was ripped away from her. And now that she has the perfect body that she has always wanted to get back to, and maybe not even had. She is going to ride it for all it's worth. And Elizabeth Sparkle be damned when she has to turn it over every single week.
Right, because, you know, she likes being Sue. You know, I will say that it gets a little hazy with understanding how this actually works, because, you know, when she is Sue, and it does emphasize they are essentially the same person, just existing in two different bodies. They've been split into two brains, but it's the same neural pathway. So when Sue is out and about, Elizabeth is in a stasis, I guess. Yeah, she's I guess unconscious. And she's being fed like liquid nutrients, right? To keep, to keep her. What was that stuff alive. that was like brown that people were drinking for a while as a food replacement? Soylent. Yeah, it's basically right. It's like protein. It's like liquid protein. To just keep her alive. Mm-hmm. Sue has to take fluid from her spinal column to basically keep everything stabilized, keep the DNA stabilized. And then after 7 days are up, they and this is relevant to me because, you know, I do dialysis 3 days a week. They had to switch their blood supply with each other, which I thought was interesting and funny because the tubing looks very similar to the tubing I use for dialysis. Yeah, sure. And then it's Sue who goes into stasis. But the problem is that, you know, they start coming to loggerheads because, you know, Elizabeth is, you know, angry as she should be at how quickly she's replaced, and she's jealous, and because Sue is essentially, because she's taken over her entire life. She's you know, bringing men to her apartment. She's not taking care of her body in the way that, you know, that Elizabeth would like her to, and you know, understanding that you only get this, you know, one body in your life, but you're staying out all night, you're drinking, you're doing drugs, you know, whereas Sue is disgusted by the fact that when it's Elizabeth's turn to exist, she is basically just spending all her time, you know, moping and eating. Right, and that is the interesting element to this that I really found that it was deeper than what I assumed I was going to get. That as a result of, and it kind of starts with the fact that she gets a crone finger, she gets a witch finger. Yeah. After the turnover doesn't happen at exactly the right hour. She starts borrowing time. Yeah, and as a result, she can't bring herself to live a life anymore. The only life she wants to live is Sue's. Right. She doesn't have a life anymore because all she had was the fitness show. Like she doesn't have a romantic partner. Like there's a very sweet moment where she reconnects with an old high school classmate. Yeah. And, you know, he's, you know, very awkward, but means well. I think he may be like the most earnest man she encounters in the entire movie. Yes. So after all this is starting to go down, she decides she's going to go on a date with him after all. But and again, this is another extremely relatable and you know, unexpectedly moving moment where she's so dissatisfied with how she looks, you know, even though she looks incredible. Right. Like this guy, you know, he's already shocked that she's agreed to go out on a date with him, but she's still concerned that she does not look good enough. Yeah. And she like rubs at her face so hard. I honestly thought she was gonna like just tear a strip off her face because like she's already starting to kind of, I guess you call it. She already wants to take off all the skin and just be a skeleton. Right. Well, I mean, also she's got the witch finger at that point, so I was literally expecting like to come away from just having, you know, accidentally pulled a flap of skin off her face or something. But no, she's just she like ferociously rubs her makeup off, and it's like, yeah. I've been there, where you just get so pissed off at like, why don't I have a better face? And and that you just like, I cannot deal with the world today. I don't want anybody to see me like this. When you probably look just fine. You may not look like Demi Moore, but you look fine.
Yeah. And Demi Moore looks like Demi Moore, and it's still unsatisfactory.
I mean, and she ignores this poor guy's texts. He doesn't get mad at her. But it's like, why are you even with that guy, you're worried because that's what you've been, society has taught you to do, that you gotta, you cannot have a single thing out of place.
Right. And as a result, like she can only experience any joy, any forward movement in her life as Sue. She cannot bring herself to stand up for herself. And Sue, I assume, feels that because in a way, once the ball starts to roll away from Elizabeth having any control over the situation, Sue takes advantage and continues to cocoon her for longer and longer and longer. And it results in this just absolute, every time Elizabeth is back, she has another grotesquerie that is just out of control.
That knee, lumpy, gnarled knee. Just like that. That's another thing where I kind of had to look away. Or she's trying to straighten her leg.
Yeah.
But another moment, like I said, I just saw this 24 hours ago, and another oddly quiet, moving moment is initially, Sue treats the body of Elizabeth, as she's sort of in this, neutral zone with a sort of tenderness. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, she's just kind of dragging her around like a sack of potatoes and like, right. Shoving her in this a secret passage in her bathroom. And it's just like, she starts really just looking at her, first with tenderness, then with pity, then with outright disgust.
Yeah. And she hates that condition of her consciousness, and she never wants to return to it, but she can't live. At some point they have to renew.
Yeah. She has nothing to live for.
Yeah.
She has no reason to return to be Elizabeth all the time, or even 7 days a week.
And then it gets to the point where there's that French cooking David Lynch sequence.
Oh my God.
It's just so outrageous, so bizarre.
I guess she had French food delivery. She seemed to have every ingredient she needed from that cookbook.
She Instacarted the shit out of all of those recipes.
I got some blood sausages. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yes. Like if you ever wanted to see blood sausages close up, you're in luck. You're gonna see it. And she's just in a manic. I kept thinking about the times that for a long period of time, we worked for the E channel, which still exists, but has moved well past us. And this all sort of felt very E channel to me. The way they were just like, we're going to have a New Year's Eve show. We're going to put this billboard right in front of your condo window, which is like she's staring at this person that she is and isn't and can't be, but is. It's all of these emotions and this conundrum, wrapped up in these two halves of the same person. It's just wildly audacious. And I'm wowed and just really thankful that she was able to both have this idea, write a script that people really wanted to get behind and knew that at the end of the day, they're going to look like a crazy bird woman and have a giant kung fu fight with a younger version of themselves.
Oh my God.
Which this is, to me, if you were on board with something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, this is just the grosser version of that.
I would say that's actually a really, really, really good comparison. Yeah, it does seem to have that magical realism vibe. Where, like I said, for some reason, taking the substance makes them strong. So they're
because you have to heal from another person like bursting out of your fucking body and your back sewn up.
They're like, that back wound like healed very quickly.
Yeah.
And they're literally just kicking each other like across a room. and it's just like
Sue is in really good shape.
Well, that's true. I mean, all that bumping your ass on the floor of a television studio, gets your core muscles very developed. But no, that's actually it's like this sort of irreality that this movie exists in. Yeah, that's actually a really, really great comparison.
Because there's an element of the only real way that Elizabeth can deal with this conundrum that she's put herself into. She's asked it a couple of times. Do you want to end the experiment with the substance? Do you want to terminate? And she gets close to saying yes. And then it's like, no. We can work this out. And then when she finally reaches a point where like, this is too fucked up. Like, look at me. This can't go on. This has to end. She gets the termination box. She injects it into Sue and can't bring herself to, she can't do it. She can't do it. She still has empathy for this younger version of herself. It's too perfect. It's too good. Why would you throw that away? And then when she manages to revive Sue, Sue beats the living shit out of her.
Yeah, that empathy, it's not returned in kind.
No. And she just doesn't, she can't possibly put herself in that position, even though she is in that position. And then when it comes back on her that without the core source of the Matrix, she's going to begin to fall apart, and absolutely does. And that sequence in which she has pulled several teeth from her mouth and then is told by Dennis Quaid and the widest guys that she had better smile. That sequence is Oscar worthy. It is incredible that she's able to pull that off in that moment. And then, after that point, all right, I fucked up this version. All I have to do is hatch a better one. Nope. It says right there on the bottle, one time use only. And there's a real reason for it.
I don't even know how to describe this.
You can't describe it. This shit is out of The Fly and The Thing.
Yeah.
It's a giant, insane rubber monster with Demi Moore on her back, straight out of fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, practically. And it just is this.
And like everything's in the wrong place.
Right.
She's got like one of her eyes is a breast. She's got like a mouth on like her chest.
Yes.
I don't think she even has ears, because there's one moment that got a big laugh in the eyes. She's trying to put earrings on, just kind of sticks them to the side of her head,
just in whatever flap is available that would approximate. She's
just this mass of like random limbs and organs, and with like a little bit of hair that kind of indicates that she might be female.
Yeah,
but God bless, she still puts this ridiculous like froofy blue dress, like it's like a fucking prom dress of the 1950s. She glues a picture up to me to her face, and like she shows up and like just like wheezing and like dragging herself, and like a security guard opens the door and looks at her and like, oh, come on in, they've been waiting for you.
Goodbye. What the fuck is going on? But again, we're not going to the substance for reality.
No.
This is just, she has to get on that stage.
Like nobody notices what's going on until the picture falls off.
Yes. And then, once her arm just decides we're done with being part of the mass, she's just squirting blood as far as the eye can see. And it becomes this fire hose of blood at people that is I was cackling, but I was hugging myself, Gina. Just, I didn't know what to do with body, because this isn't a movie where it's, you come out of it and go, I love my body. And I'm hugging myself, but I don't have my hands over my eyes, but I did over my mouth. It didn't stop me from just nervous laughing until the end of time.
Yeah, and she like coughs up or vomits up or gives birth to what appears to be like a disembodied breast.
Yeah, she gives birth to what is an eraserhead baby with just a boob.
She's also appears to be dragging like a placenta behind her, or it may be her uterus. I'm not. She's dragging some kind of organ.
It's something that should be on the inside.
Yeah,
that's now on the
it's
outside.
attached to her in some way.
Yeah, and then just the most incredibly outrageous. And have you ever seen Street Trash?
I have.
Okay. This was the moment where I'm like, they're going full street trash here. And the Demi Moore face just falls off the back of Monstroso and crawls its way to her star and melts there in a vision of snow. She just melts into the cracks of her star. And at that point, people were just clapping. And like, this was the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. This was the end of Aliens. This is the end of Die Hard. People are just clapping and like in joy, in cinematic joy. And this is the one part where I really do wish I had seen First Omen in a theater with that many people, because then I could judge them more fairly, because I do feel like some of it is both your experience and then the communal experience that you're having with everyone else in the theater. And that's just, it's hard to compare those things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I'm very glad that I opted to see it in the theater, because I thought, that sounds interesting, but I can wait on that. And then like I started hearing more about it, and then a couple of people were like, "You see The Substance yet?" I'm like, I'm like, no. They're like, you need to go see The Substance, because I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, exactly. The DM started to flow. We got tagged a few times. Is this happening? And I'm like, you know what? We probably should. This is an important movie. This is an audacious movie. This is cinema. There's so much pure cinema happening in this motion picture that I just feel like we're eating really good in the horror sphere right now.
I can't, I still continue to believe that next year is going to be pretty slim pickings. But I think that, this year being so good and making so many big swings that, it'll almost kind of compensate for it.
And it so weirdly happened late. Like there really isn't anything decent until Late Night with the Devil comes out. And that sort of starts the crank a little bit.
Yeah. And we were, like I said, we were kind of, I would say even 50-50 on that. I liked it enough.
There's plenty to like. Yeah, I just have quibbles.
I think other people liked it more than I did.
Yeah.
But it was taking some big swings, and I appreciated its audacity. Even if not all of it worked for me.
Yeah. Even Night Swim is taking swings. We have yet to commit to watching Nightwing. Night Swim.
We watched Nightwing.
We watched Nightwing.
Nightwing didn't take big swings.
Yes, Nightwing just not take big swings unless it's a swing towards a bat flying at your head, and you're like, "Bye, wife. I'm getting in the station wagon." Fuck you. The best sequence in Nightwing. It's a long walk to get to its best sequence. Whereas this, I think, is gold from bottom to top. It's just. I'm so amazed at this director and writer's ability to conjure this and execute it on this level so that so many people have really been drawn to it. And I can't wait to see what she does next, because this is incredible. This is great work from her.
Yeah, it really is. I don't expect it to do long legs numbers, because it's going to be polarizing. I do think that the if you're not already into body horror, this is going to be too much. And I don't mean like, oh, if you're too wimpy or whatever. I'm just saying that it's very intense, and it's very gross. It appears to be predominantly practical effects.
Yes.
So you've got a lot of I told you that I went to an open caption screening, so there was a lot of flesh squelching, bones cracking, stuff like that. And it's very, very visceral, and that's before you even get into the countless injection scenes.
Yeah. It demands a lot of the audience, but it is really going for it.
But it's very hard to maintain like visceral horror, with satire, with actual human emotion, all into one coherent package. And I think that she really, really succeeded.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Connection is a healthy and essential aspect of our daily lives. From a warm hug after a hard day to kind words just when we need them, these gentle moments give us an understanding of life's true meaning. But when the ability to connect is interrupted by the hustle of daily life and to-do lists pile up next to the worry of who needs school supplies, sometimes making decisions about our health and the well-being of our loved ones can take a back seat. When it comes to those we care for, vaccines are one of the greatest public health success stories, and along with other measures, are one way to help prevent certain diseases. At Merck, we envision communities where families, healthcare providers, local organizations, and advocates work together. Health equity happens when every person, regardless of age and ethnicity, in every community, has fair access to healthcare, including the vaccines they need. For more information, please visit whyvaccines.com.
Yeah. This is just a fantastic motion picture, and I hope more people get to see it. I love that Mubi picked this thing up, and instead of just keeping it on the site, said, no, people need to see this in a movie theater. And then the bummer here, the only bummer, is that because of the way Mubi structured the deal for this, it won't be on physical media until 2026.
Oof. Well, everybody get a Mubi account.
And get a Mubi account, because when this goes, and I assume it'll go exclusively to them, or maybe it will have a VOD window. I don't really know.
I mean, I think that it's getting enough word of mouth. It might.
Yeah. It just, it is so good, and everyone acting in it, all the physical effect, that all those practical effects really show. Is it a little rubbery in the same way that I kind of complained about in A Violent Nature being? A little bit, but I think also it helps that it's shot in very enclosed circumstances. So, when Monstroso is in the white bathroom, it's really harsh. Like,
yeah.
It's hard to hide the weenie on that bad boy. Whereas when she's on stage under one spotlight and mostly dark, you're really seeing it in the best light. And when she overall melts at the end, it's just delightfully squishy and gross, and every part of it is just going for it so hard. I'm so happy I got to see it, with people watching around me. It was great.
Yeah. I would say if you think you can handle if you can handle the body horror, by all means, go to see it in the theater, because it's really, I can honestly say I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. It was weird to do this with a double feature of that Azrael, which is another movie I really enjoyed the first 2/3 of, and then it kind of ran out of steam. It's trying to do that no one will save you silent movie thing.
Okay.
And listen, I really loved the first 2/3 of it, and then it kind of ran out of steam for me. But
I would love to do it. I would love to do a double feature of this and Men, in which a man gives birth to himself.
Oh yes, yes.
That also has some very intense body horror in it.
Two movies that are definitely going for it. But it's a little hard to do choose your own death venture.
Technically, I mean, it's just her that dies. I mean, how do you explain?
She just dies two different ways.
Yeah.
You either die being having the shit beat out of you, your face smashed into a mirror over and over again.
Kicked to death, essentially.
Yeah. Or you die because Monstroso is not there to sew her up. So Sue is dead. She's fallen apart anyways. So she's just an empty meat sack.
This is like a whole other creature altogether.
Yeah. And then Monstroso melts. So 3 ways. The same person dies 3 different ways.
I mean, going out as Monstroso, I mean, that is big. Yeah.
It is big.
No one is going to forget. If nobody who was in that studio is going to forget that. So
that one little girl is going to have quite a story to tell when she hits
this little girl
school.
to a New Year's Eve special where there's like
with all these people with their tits out. Yeah,
it's showgirls.
Topless showgirls. Also, what television?
I was going to say, what TV network is going to be running this?
What the fuck is going on?
But yeah, I am not opposed to the idea of just like spraying an entire room of people with my blood before collapsing and dying. So
it definitely sounds better than splitting open or having your face smashed into a mirror.
I don't want to be like the victim of a prolonged beating. So yeah, I'm actually gonna take Monstroso.
Yeah, Monstroso is the way to go. Absolutely. Josh Hollis does all of our artwork. Go to joshhollis.com for that kind of stuff. Go to Revenge Body Memphis at Bandcamp.com for this theme and all of the remixes. Go to our Patreon for all the additional episodes we put together for you, which are really fun to listen to. And we have over 100 for you to choose from. And we are adding stuff 3 times a month. Most of the time. This weekend was a big exception because shit went haywire. My apologies to everybody on that account. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television and pop culture, including the very movie we just talked about here at GinaWatchesThings.substack.com. And I am on most social medias under Gina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue. Next week, guess what? We are doing another 40th anniversary for Halloween, and we'll be talking about Terror in the Aisles. How will we be able to talk about Terror in the Aisles? Just you wait and find out. But Kevin Marr from Kevin Geeks Out is going to be our guest, and it's a very fun episode. And we talk about all the audience members, in particular, all the weirdos that are shoved into that movie theater. And of course, yes.
And Nighthawks. We talk a lot about Nighthawks.
Go on extensive jags talking about Nighthawks. It's finally happened, everybody. And so that just about does it for myself and for Gina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Connection is a healthy and essential aspect of our daily lives. From a warm hug after a hard day to kind words just when we need them, these gentle moments give us an understanding of life's true meaning. But when the ability to connect is interrupted by the hustle of daily life and to-do lists pile up next to the worry of who needs school supplies, Sometimes making decisions about our health and the well-being of our loved ones can take a back seat. When it comes to those we care for, vaccines are one of the greatest public health success stories, and along with other measures, are one way to help prevent certain diseases. At Merck, we envision communities where families, healthcare providers, local organizations, and advocates work together. Health equity happens when every person, regardless of age and ethnicity, in every community, has fair access to healthcare, including the vaccines they need. For more information, please visit whyvaccines.com.